and welcome to Paper Reviews. We're having a good time because we just watched one hell of a premium live event. I am Ol'Ed, and I'm joined by my tag team partner, Astrid Pizarro, the host of Turnbuckle Talk, the host of the Raw Watch Along, Karl Karufel, and below Karl, my tag team partner on Wednesday nights in Wrestle Draft, the Chris Parrish. Wow.
Hi.
That was a good show.
Yeah, it really was.
We had banger after banger after banger.
And the only match that wasn't a banger was 69 seconds. Enough said.
Nice.
Right?
So do we want to do the regular thing where we go around and we talk about the show match by match, or do we just want to get into the important part here? Do we want to talk about that main event?
I mean, we could start there.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right, let's start with the main event.
I'm pretty sure people aren't tuning in to say, hey, how about that Italian match?
I mean, we could just talk about that, 69 seconds. Do you think we could talk about that match less than they had the match in the ring?
No.
Yeah.
No.
We'll get to the main event.
So the main event of the evening, in WWE's infinite wisdom, now I'm going to stop complaining about their match cards, in their infinite wisdom, decided to put the tag team title match in the main event, and boy howdy, was that a match from beginning to end. Like, the ending is massive, but going back to the beginning, we have the introductions where poor Mike Rome. Hi, Mark, what's up? Poor Mike Rome, man. He didn't get to do anything in this main event. He was out there. Paul Heyman took the microphone, gave a new intro to Solo Sikoa, gave a new intro for the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, and then Sami Zayn took the microphone from Mike Rome and in Arabic went ahead and introduced himself and Kevin Owens. Just phenomenal job by Sami Zayn to do that. The respect that Sami Zayn also shown wearing the white robes, which are to show that on your trips to Mecca during this time of year when you make your Umrah trip to Mecca, and I'm probably pronouncing the trip, there's a special name, and I probably pronounced it wrong. But when you go there, the white robes signify that everybody is the same in the eyes of Allah. So everybody dresses in those long white robes. That's the significance of having that robe on screen. So Sami Zayn doing a respectful thing for his first trip there, having made the trip to Mecca earlier this week, and you can see that on WWE footage. Really, really great stuff. No worries. I had to go look it up because I needed to know as well. But yeah, and then we get to the match. Yeah. For the first 4 minutes of this match, it feels like nobody touches. The crowd is in it. The crowd is ready. They're not quite the Puerto Rico crowd, but they gave them a run for their money. They tried real hard to outdo that Puerto Rican crowd from Backlash. Karl, why don't you go ahead and talk about the rest of this match going from there?
Holy hell. So, the pacing of this match was absolutely perfect. The little things within this match, yes, I made notes. Amazing little spots that worked, that flowed together, that didn't make it seem like it was just a cluster or just a all-out beatdown happening inside that ring. The back and forths were amazing. The interference spot, beautifully done in my eyes. Beautifully done. It was simple. It was effective. And before we get to how everything else finished, all I got to say is I think this was the right way to go about it.
I want to ask a question. We have two former in-ring competitors here. And I want to talk about Joshua. Yeah, I know, Karl. Between you and Parrish, two in-ring competitors. Not a flawed moment. Every single movement had purpose. Talk to me about the build to the hot tag to Sami Zayn. As an in-ring competitor, watching it like that, how precisely great was that build to the hot tag, both to Kevin and then to Sami?
Well, I think one of the big things you have to do is you have to make sure, in order to have that proper build, you have to have the people biting at every single thing you do. And you have to show that your babyface, even though he is trying to win the match is in that position where he knows he needs that help. And he's trying to get to his partner, but the heels just won't let him. So it's the fight, it's that crawl. It's like no matter what you're doing, those heels are always going to be trying to do something to prevent it. So when you finally get it, that's when you're just like, oh my god, kind of a moment, right? But that's what you want. You want that emotional investment. So what I love about Sami Zayn in that position, and we see it throughout the match, even though like there's even a tornado DDT that he gives Solo, and instead of the pin, instead of going to that obvious thing that he does, he rolls over and crawls because he knows that it's more important for Kevin Owens to be in than him trying to win that match. It's all about that ability of making those mannerisms, those movements make sense. So if that is why I think Sami Zayn is one of the best minds in pro wrestling, and it's why I can live with the fact that a guy like Christian went over to AEW because Sami is over at WWE, and I believe those are two of the most underestimated and two of the best wrestling minds of all time.
Yeah. Karl, you have any thoughts on this as well?
I honestly, Parrish hit everything right there. And again, I was going to go to that spot as well. I was going to go to that Sammy Tornado DDT spot where he didn't go for the pin. He didn't, just kind of lay there and sell, like, oh, I'm hurt too in this situation. There was that slight sell, and then that crawl, that slow crawl over there, allowing the heel tag team to first get that tag, and then Sammy to get that tag on Kevin Owens, which then just electrified the crowd because now we've got two fresh competitors coming in. Not necessarily that there wasn't a flawed moment throughout this, but yes, everything had its purpose throughout this entire matchup that just resonated fantastically.
Astrid, I'm going to go to you. Talk about the Usos and their involvement in this match at the very end.
I love that it was the great timing of it. The part of like, there's no official. This is the moment for them to come in and do their thing and help out as much as they can before the official returns. And they first start with their job and it's like, yeah, we're helping, and then it goes to that part of super kicking Solo, and Roman's reaction when that happens. At first, that facial expression just takes you in that story, like with his face, like what is going on, and to the point of like we had Jimmy and Jay arguing about it, and when Jimmy goes and super kicks Roman, same thing, the reaction from not only Roman, but Jimmy as well. Like, I mean, from Jay, it was like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, I'm doing what you're supposed to be doing a long time ago. So he's like in that mindset, like now that his brother has been this whole time from the start. So like now I feel like they're on the same page in that aspect there. So I think that was like wonderfully done. And then the way he goes, not only with one, but with two super kicks to be done as well. I feel like they did what they had to do exactly at that moment. This is something we've been waiting to happen for months, to like see this island relevancy just like crumbling down little by little, and we just saw it on screen tonight.
The thing I love the most about this is you said they're on the same page. They're not. The best part is they're not on the same page. Jimmy is all in on I'm done. I can't do this anymore. We can't do this anymore. I'm your brother. This is what we do. And he's all in on that. And Jay, even at the end of the show, Jay's got his head in his hands and he's got his face, he's got his hands over his face. And he's like, what have we just done? You can even hear it. They flash back to a picture of Roman, and all you hear is the audio of Jay. Mm-hmm. What have you done?
Yeah.
I mean, the epitome of... And I have many, many issues with Kevin Dunn and his the Flash fucking everywhere. But you know what? The moment of the audio of Jay in the background with the visual of Roman just staring at them was amazing. It was picture perfect.
And before you go in there, I just want to give a shout out to a couple people that actually followed us right before the PLE. And one was DJ Space Jams, The Punisher 1, and Throwback 978. But we also have Risty Mania following us about
WrestleMania! What's up,
7 minutes
buddy?
ago. And I want to indicate the importance of that. That is our 200th follower on Twitch. So I just want to give a shout out to everyone in the chat and appreciation. Thank you, Reese, for being that 200th. But thank you to everyone along the way as well.
And for Reese, he's a great friend of ours. Most of us know him from our time at Love Wrestling. For those that don't know, Reese is a gamer. He's a big-time wrestling fan. He does all kinds of gaming, especially with WWE 2K23 and WWE Supercard. He is a fantastic individual. He was live at WrestleMania. He has some great stuff. And for all the Homo Sapiens, he is the leader of the Homo Sapiens on Supercard. So go ahead and check out Reese. He does fantastic stuff. This match was, I say, picture perfect. I don't think there was a bad misstep to be had. The crowd was involved. They were eating on every single near fall. Karl, you have a thought?
Well, I just want to go to Mark. Mark Talks Wrestling, where he actually says Paul Heyman selling it as well made it even more special. But what I liked even more about that is that there was not a huge focus on Paul Heyman like there has been in past Roman Reigns matches. They were very subtle times that the camera panned over to Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is a master in this business. He is a master of knowing when the camera is on him and using his facial expressions to show that emotion. We have to give credit to Paul Heyman as well for what he did in this matchup too.
We got that Ecto guy joining in. But Bailey has and he's a member of the Kali community, and he brings up something. And I don't know if it's and I'm going to read it off. The Bloodline is the best storyline of this generation, and more to come. I think it is the best storyline in the WWE in this generation. Because I think there are multiple fantastic storylines going on. And as much as I don't like to admit it, the storyline of the destruction and the rebirth of the Elite has been phenomenal. And it's taken a long time, and they've dropped a bunch of balls with some other people along the way. But the return of Hangman Page to the Elite, and I know that doesn't matter here, and we're going to talk, that's all going to get talked about with Lauren Goodnight and our friend Bobby Munson later on tonight and going forward. But it's so amazing to see this Bloodline storyline play out. To think that we're talking about Roman Reigns as a 1,000-day champion as of today. I was incorrect last night.
I knew it.
It's because BT Sport is hours ahead in England.
I was going to say, they're in the UK, though.
They're in the UK. My time zone's got the best of me. It happens. That being said, the Bloodline story, the fact that Roman Reigns is in one of the best told stories in wrestling. If you would have told all of us this 5-6 years ago, when we were all talking about how Roman Reigns was the epitome of something being shoved down our throats to the point we didn't want it. We've been crying and screaming for this moment for a long time. And they slow played it. They could have done this at Mania. They didn't do it. They could have done it at Elimination Chamber. They didn't do it. They waited for the perfect opportunity on day 1,000. He still hasn't been pinned. He still hasn't submitted. Since December of 2019. He hasn't been pinned or submitted until the before times, as I call them. The pre-COVID times was the last time he was pinned or submitted by Baron Corbin.
COVID's not real. Don't worry about it.
We also have Josh Joseph coming in saying Chris Owen versus Tony Thunder was a great storyline too.
You really aren't ever going to get that name right, are you?
I'm really not. He's just going to have to change it because I'm never going to get it right.
But
Mark says, got to give credit to Triple H, to Roman, to the Usos, Sammy, Kevin, Solo. But you know what? There's a name missing from this list, and we're not going to like it, but we have to say it. Vincent Kennedy McMahon was smart enough to turn Roman at the right time and start the bloodline story. All of this started under the watch of Vince McMahon. He knew what he had to do, and he continued to go with it. Now, granted, Triple H made it perfect by adding in Sami Zayn, which we know Vince McMahon was never going to do.
Right.
But we have to give a little bit of credit to Vince McMahon because he got the ball rolling to get to the point where Sami mattered. A little bit.
And you have to look at this too. Like, the reason why there's such a huge payoff is because of how many of those details have been super important in that story. They've been played to perfection throughout the whole thing. It gave you the rhyme and the reason, right? We're now seeing everything click and matter. And that's when you know a story is amazing. It's because you have all that. It just shows. That's funny. But it just shows why patience is a virtue, because when you give times an opportunity to breathe, you get the biggest sign of relief. And I was telling Karl, it's amazing. In 2023, we have seen the Usos in Canada, where before they weren't allowed in, and now we've seen Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn wrestle in Saudi Arabia. Times are changing. It's been truly amazing, not only to see what the WWE's been doing, but like you said, Ed, with some of the stuff in AEW, pro wrestling is at the highest it's been since probably the Attitude Era, and it's just been absolutely phenomenal.
Does anybody have anything else to touch on about the main event? No? All right, we're going to go in reverse order on this card because I just think it's fun to do it that way. I'm going to admit another mistake. I admitted one before where I got the number of days wrong. Cody versus Brock. I loved it. I loved everything about this match. It was so 80s with the titanium cast. It brought me back to my childhood of watching Cowboy Bob Orton, of watching Dusty Rhodes, all that 80s stuff of having a cast on your arm and having it be legal as a use of your forearm because it's a part of you, because it's keeping you safe. And using that titanium cast to be the balancing act against Brock Lesnar. That was fucking perfect. And of course it's Cody Rhodes that does the 80s reference. It's Cody Rhodes that goes back to the 80s. By the way, is there a more iconic duo than going back to the 80s than Triple H and Cody Rhodes? Like, think about it. These two guys are guys that love that era of professional wrestling.
Okay, if we're going to go 80s, I have to do it here. Then you got to do Cody Rhodes as your Rocky Balboa and Gunther as your Mad Rush.
I'd agree. I don't necessarily hate that. But no, the match was played out right. Cody Rhodes was the underdog. They had all those Kimura spots, with the cast being the thing that helped Cody stay in the match. I really enjoyed every moment of this. But Karl has something to say.
So I did a little bit of a ranking system out of 5. So the last match I did 4.5 out of 5 because I thought that it was great. This one I did a 3.5 out of 5 because I'm not sharing the same sentiments as you right now, Ed.
Okay.
So, okay, great. Awesome. Cody's injured again. So that was the first tick of a mark lost for me. Cody's going into a match injured again. Is this going to be the new trope that we're seeing from Cody Rhodes moving forward? I don't want to see that. Next after that, the Cody goat, like goating him on the outside of the ring. Beautiful. Loved it. Great. Fantastic. The cast used as the weapon. Brilliant. Amazing. Beautiful. Crossroads, pin, kick out, blah, blah, blah. Going back and forth. Really cool. Okay, I get it. But Then the Kimura lock comes in. The Kimura lock was applied before and instantly broke his arm. So now his arm is already broken. Now I understand it's in a titanium type of cast. But how is he not in pain inside of that Kimura lock for so long? And it took a long time for him to get to the ropes for that break. There was just a lot in this matchup that I couldn't suspend my disbelief for to fully enjoy the matchup. Broken arm. How did he not easily tap out with a broken arm? He went for a crossroads, hit the crossroads on Brock Lesnar. There was no sell to that arm that he fell on during that crossroads, and was immediately into a pin, which again for me was like, are you serious? No, there's got to be something there.
Mm-hmm.
Make it seem as though you are hurt with that arm that is broken, damn it. And how did he just pass out? Did he pass out from pain? Like, it's a lock on your arm. You're not cutting off the jugular. You're not suffocating the guy. There was no reason why he should have passed out in that matchup. All in all, decent matchup. Love it. It was good. It was a great matchup. I'm a Brock Lesnar fan. I'm a Cody fan as well. I hate broken arms. Jeez. But I gave it a 3.5 just for those reasons. So it was good, but I think it could have been a lot better than it was.
Well, I came in assuming the match was going to be complete garbage. So when I'm talking about the praise that I'm giving this match, I'm coming from, I thought this was going to be Rhea Ripley versus Natalya level bad. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is better than I thought it was going to be.
Right.
And having Cody lose upped that for me, because I really thought at one point during that match, oh God, they're going to put Cody over.
I thought so too.
Astrid,
I was also thinking this when we're talking.
Sorry.
We're talking, you know how on the preview show we were saying, oh, we think Cody's going to win, but he's going to get disqualified? Well, we were kind of stupid on that, because if he got disqualified, that means he lost. So we were kind of dumb with how we worded that one. So with him losing, we were still correct on what we were trying to go with. Sorry, I just wanted to also say how dumb we were yesterday.
It was late. It was. Astrid.
This one, I didn't want to say like I didn't like it. I mean, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. Like I was definitely like in between about that part, because it was one of those that I expected Cody to win somehow because of the way it's been. But at the same time, I kept thinking, I think it's better if Brock wins as the match was happening, because if we need that rubber match later. But I kept thinking, how are we gonna have Cody lose the match though, without making him look like not necessarily like weak, for example. And like not getting picked and not submitting. So I was wondering how that was going to play out on screen. I did love that moment that, like, as Karl was saying, like the moment that he notices he used it as a weapon for his arm. So he, like, that moment of realization of like, I can use this in my, in my favor. I love that moment that he kept going with it and decided to use it on multiple occasions. So I love that part of it. But I just like, it's one of those, like, I know how Brock Lesnar works in his matches, and they're just like the same thing all over again. So that's the part that I'm like, it was okay for me. The only thing is that once that I realized that Rhea and Natty ended up being 1 minute and 9 seconds, I kept thinking, this is going to be longer than we expected it to be, at least. I thought it was going to be shorter than that. So I was surprised, but at the same time, it had to do with the timing of the women's match beforehand. But yeah, other than that, it was all right for me.
Karl, I have a question before we go to Parrish on this, and I just want to ask this to you to go back on your point, because I just thought of it. Would it have made more sense to you to suspend your disbelief is instead of Cody passing out, the ref stops the match? If the refs...
Yeah. If like Cody would have maybe, shown a little bit more emotion in his face, like wincing in pain, right? And the ref stopping it, that could have been workable for me. Even going to Astrid's point, like talking about maybe there be a tap out type of situation happen. you put the first Kimura lock on. Okay, he fights through it. He gets through it. He gets to those ropes. Okay, the second time the Kimura lock is put on, you have it on for like a minute and a half, and then you just see Cody's face wince in pain and him tap out. It wouldn't have hurt Cody at all. Still would have made Cody look strong because holy hell, he was in the first one for like 5.5 minutes.
Yeah.
The second one was just too much for him to be able to handle. That would have been better for me. The pass out for me made no sense at all. So, yeah, there you go.
All right. Parrish, your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I kind of want to throw some logic here. So Cody Rhodes' arm apparently is broken on Monday at Raw, right? Completely breaks it on Raw on a very quick Kimura lock. Yet that pain isn't enough for Cody to pass out then. No, in fact, his soul-based adrenaline is kicking back in, and all he wants to do is keep the fight going. So why would it make him pass out now if it's already broken? Like it's to me, it's a little bit redundant. I would have loved to see a referee stoppage and have a referee show a little compassion for Cody Rhodes and be like, my job is to make sure that my competitors in this match leave still somewhat in a good condition. And I can't, he also has to show that he's a protector of the people in the ring as well. I mean, and it's not a gimmicked match it anyway. It's a standard one-on-one match. So he would have that power to say, no more. Okay, this is over. This match is over. Therefore, that rubber match can be now a gimmick match of some sort because the referee cannot play that card in that match. I didn't hate the psychology of this match. What I did hate was just the fine-tuning of some of the decisions that were made. I love the cast idea of a weapon. Great. That gave Cody Rhodes that little bit extra in that fight, which you need against Brock Lesnar. You got to find all the ways to do it. I would have loved Cody Rhodes to get a little dirty in this match, a little desperate in this match, because it is a fight. It's more about survival and redemption than it is about winning and losing. So that's all I would like to have seen. Also, Cody Rhodes really needs to not reach for a rope all the time and learn to do a little bit more with his arms, whether it's scratch the back or try to pull the hair of Brock, something a little bit more. We were just talking about Sami Zayn and the little things he does when he's selling to make a more emotional spot, which is that hot tag. Cody Rhodes needs to do something similar. He needs to be a little bit more in that moment instead of, I need that rope. And then 2 minutes later, he gets the rope. It's like, yeah, no kidding. We know you've been reaching it for a while. You're predicting what you're doing, but make us feel it a little bit more. And I feel if he didn't make it look so obvious, we would have felt it a little bit more.
I think it's funny. We talk about this match. This match took all of 9 minutes and 40 seconds. Looking back at it, I looked at the time and I'm like, wow, that seems weird. It seemed like it was a lot longer. Mm-hmm. It seemed like it went more. But they told a fantastic story in those under 10 minutes.
Yeah. Alex is bringing up a good point. This would have been the time where I would have had blood in the match.
Cody Rhodes has faced Brock Lesnar twice. And the only person to bleed is Brock Lesnar. What the hell is wrong with the world? Is Jon Moxley not going to bleed tomorrow night? Is there something wacky going on?
Do you guys remember when Brock Lesnar just absolutely threw the elbows on Randy Orton and just cut him open?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Would not have that been the perfect way to finishing this?
I thought Cody... I'm dumbfounded that he's had 2 fights with Brock Lesnar and he's never once bled. I don't understand. Becky Lynch got to bleed before Cody Rhodes on this card. What the hell's going on here?
Yes.
Anybody else have any other thoughts on Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes?
I'm just going to say this on Brock.
Hmm?
He is jacked again, and it is disgusting.
Yeah, no more Tubby Brock. Tubby Brock is all gone. Brock is
jacked,
back in the gym.
scary man, caveman Brock who just like yells and like, this is the one I wanted in the UFC, man.
All right, guys, hit the stopwatch. We got Rhea Ripley versus Natalya. This match took 1 minute, 9 seconds. Do we have anything that we have to talk about other than the celebration?
My only notes were WTF with a 1.5 out of 5.
This is Natalya's birthday, by the way. Happy birthday, Daddy. You lost.
And that's why it got 0.5 extra.
All right, moving on. Rhea Ripley defends her title. Asuka versus Bianca Belair.
See, now, we did go under 1:09.
Yeah, Alex, it lasted 69 seconds legit. Nice. 10 out of 10 for just destroying her. But you know what? WWE put us out of our misery. They didn't make us watch 5 minutes of Natalya versus Rhea. They're like 69 seconds. Here you go. Less than a minute and a half.
But you think it's funny though, being that Zelina, who's smaller than Natty, actually had a longer match with Rhea than Natty did.
Yeah, isn't that great? See, they're still making Zelina look strong. After all these weeks, they're still making Zelina
thinking of that. As the match is
strong.
happening, I was like, how did Zelina have more of a fight than Natty did?
But it makes sense because the build to that match was people cared about the build. Right? Like
no, I'm just saying like not like build aside. I'm just thinking of like size, like when you think of the people and their sizes, because you're wondering Zelina's smaller, so you think she's gonna get beat up a little bit faster than Natty, and then it was the opposite. So it's like, like good to know.
Asuka defeats Bianca Belair to become the new Raw Women's Champion on SmackDown,
as we predicted.
As we did predict. Yeah. I love the creativity of the finish here. She misses with the mist earlier in the match. She gets another load up of it from, I'm assuming, that new random belt pouch on her hip that she wore to the ring. I was looking at Asuka's attire, and obviously she has to have new attire because it has to be completely full. But there's like a little pouch area on the side of Asuka. I'm like, that's interesting little... I thought it was like to mimic like a samurai sword or something, because it seemed like her outfit was like a samurai to me in my own mind. She goes ahead and she mists her hand. And then she takes the fingers and she rakes the eyes with the mist on it to blind Bianca Belair. 2 kicks and the win in 15 minutes. The third longest match of the card. Asuka is the new Raw Women's Champion. Astrid, go ahead and talk to us about Bianca Belair versus Asuka.
What I love about this part before the ending in itself was that when Bianca avoided the mist, she kind of like had that look of like, I outsmarted her this time around because I've been through this before. So she thinks like, oh, I'm done with it because she used the mist and that's it. She's not gonna have anything else to use against me this time around. So I thought like that was interesting from like that character's point of view, to like having Asuka going, no, I'm not done. I'll find another way to like get to you and win this match. So I thought that was super interesting, and I definitely loved the finishing, how creative it was. Overall, I love the performance of both of the ladies. I feel like they did great with this match and the storytelling. Either way, I was thinking it could have gone either way for me. I was just surprised that Bianca didn't kick out at the end. But it still was amazing to see Asuka winning this championship now. I feel like it just brings something new. And we haven't had a Bianca, as not being a champion for quite a while now. So I think that would be interesting for her character, her mindset going forward. How is she going to deal with this, and how is she going to get back into that title picture and get involved again? But also thinking of the fact of like we have fresh people now that are probably going to face Asuka for this championship. So that brings something new going forward as well. So it's just super interesting how, both storylines going on at the same time after this too.
Yeah. Karl, why don't we go ahead and jump to you for a minute here?
This match didn't do very much for me through the entire matchup until we got to the end. Everything seemed just way too quick, way too planned, way too spotted out for me, and I was not enjoying it. When I saw the miss of the mist I was like, ooh, now something interesting may be happening. And sure as shit, we got something interesting that happened. That ending turned that match around for me. I was very happy with the different variation on the mist. For me, that was perfection because it's something different, something that we have not seen before. It was innovative. It was a great way. I think the only thing that I would have liked a little bit better is maybe if there was a little bit more of that mist in her hand, and instead of just the eyes, maybe did the whole entire face.
Yeah.
Even just rubbed it along her face
Mhm.
before going to the eyes to make give the illusion that it's all over her now, as she would have done if it had just been spit out onto her. Other than that, the ending made it better for me. Good matchup. It just seemed mediocre at best for me. Just seemed like humdrum. I've seen it before. Unfortunately for me, and for the last little while, that's been Bianca Belair.
I can see that. Parrish.
Yeah, so like I was telling Carl as we were watching this, like one, I'm gonna shout out the ladies because they were getting super creative with their gear now. Now that they know what they have to wear at Saudi Arabia, some of the gear has been great. Bianca Belair's gear was beautiful. I'm gonna just say that, and I know she does her own stuff.
I was just saying, created
She's
by Bianca.
bring that talent to the ring because I say that because I felt there was no chemistry for a good chunk of this match. When Bianca Belair and Asuka had a little bit of a stumble, that really brought a lull in their chemistry. And I thought they did a poor job of bringing it back. And that's something that needed to be done, especially when they're on the outside at some point. They didn't even know if they should throw a punch or not. And that was just, it was just a bad thing for their match. When Asuka was coming down the ring, though, she had the tape on her hand. And I was curious because she doesn't normally wear tape on her hand. So I was very curious to the why on that because, as we all know, I think outside of the box a lot. And this was a time where it kind of worked because obviously there was a reason to why she had that. But to Carl's point, I would have loved, instead of her just to blow the mist on her fingers, I would have done the whole palm. And that's where I would have gone. Because the one thing you didn't see at the end of this match is you didn't see all the blue mist on Bianca's face that much. And that visual would have been so much better for the sympathy for Bianca Belair after she lost. But I thought I outthought you in this, and that is why I'm the champion, was the perfect way for Asuka. Because the mind games was a thing, was one for Asuka in this build going into this match. And I love that. And like you said, Ed, it was the one time where Bianca, she missed the miss. And she thought she outsmarted Asuka, only for Asuka to be like, "This ain't my first rodeo, woman. I got you." But it was great. I think this is why Asuka is one of the best of the female wrestlers in pro wrestling. Not just right now. I put her in my top 5, top 6 all time. But I'm very curious on where they're going to go. I actually hope they don't do this match again right away. I think this would be a mistake to do it at Money in the Bank.
I agree. I agree kind of with everybody else. I enjoyed this match for what it was. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It wasn't as good as the match with Io Sky. Hell, it wasn't as good as their WrestleMania match. They had a really, really fun and entertaining WrestleMania match that I really enjoyed. This was a kind of ho-hum. The creative finish makes it better. And you know what? Sometimes it's all a match needs. If you can do just enough in the beginning and the middle of the match to make it okay, and then have something creative and fun at the end, boom. We remember the end of that match and we go, yeah, that's that cool finish with Asuka and Bianca. Before we get to the next match, I want to go ahead and talk about that WWE made a very good point of bringing a lot of talent because they weren't going to have the celebrities that they normally would have in the crowd. Tonight we got LA Knight in the crowd, who got a big pop. Omos in the crowd, who surprisingly got a big pop. Scarlett and Cross, who didn't get much of a pop. And I think there was one more.
The Street Profits.
The Street Profits, who did get a nice pop.
Mm-hmm.
Nice to see that everybody is in there. Nice to see everything going on. Thank you, Bobby. We're all doing well. We had a great time watching the show. Yeah, it's nice to see WWE bringing some extra people to Saudi and getting him on TV. LA Knight getting that promotion, getting his face out there, making sure we know who he is. Kind of the same thing with Omos, who, by the way, fun story if you didn't watch the Twitter, Omos is getting a haircut during AJ Styles' match. Which is great. We then get to Mark Talks Wrestling's favorite match. Where Gunther defends successfully his Intercontinental Championship in what I called 8 minutes and 35 seconds. Last night on the preview show, I said it needed to be between 8 and 12. 8.3, 8.5 minutes.
Not 8.3, 8.5
No,
minutes.
8.5. Yeah, 8.5-ish. I love this. This match did everything it needed to do. Ali felt like he had a shot. Ali felt like there were moments in there where I honestly believed, knowing Gunther was going to win, that Ali was about to beat Gunther. I bid on one of those near falls where I thought Ali actually had the match.
Was it the shooting star?
It was the shooting star.
Yeah.
Yep. That first shooting star, I bit when he went back up there with the weird back flip up to the top rope to get himself in position. Oh, Gunther did so much for Ali here. He gave so willingly, and Ali gave every ounce of his chest that is going to be redder than red come tomorrow morning. It's almost Ed. Oh, he almost had a match, yes. No, Mark. No. Bad, Mark. No 30 seconds. Yes, the ring general is amazing. But Ali showed up and showed out. And Gunther gave him just enough to make him feel like Ali had a shot, but not enough to diminish what Gunther is doing and how dominant he feels. Karl, yes. You're welcome, my son. It's okay.
So the matchup, I really don't have very many notes because I was actually pretty enthralled in watching this matchup. I mean, the only notes I have is this didn't hurt Ali. Gunther is still strong, but it was a typical matchup for Ali being used as that person of notoriety over in Saudi Arabia just to lose a matchup once again. Be put into a big spot situation just to lose again. I'm getting tired of seeing Ali losing. I think it's time that we actually put not a championship, but more of a stake on Ali and let people see that he can work, that he has good work, and let people see what he can do. Although some may believe that Ali should never win. We got to remember today's day and age is all about participation awards. So let's give Ali just a little something. Oh.
Astrid.
I feel just like you. I enjoyed the match. I'm glad it was one of those that, even though I knew Gunther was going to win, they still gave me that that little bit of hope of that Ali might win it. And I'm glad it was just that moment of like he was able to showcase himself even with Gunther in there, and the match in itself. I loved it from beginning to end. Like you said, it's like that one towards the 450 splash. I was at the edge of my seat thinking, this is it. And I love that part of like how they made me feel that emotion through the match. And I feel like maybe it'll happen, maybe. But yeah, overall, like I get where Karl's coming from. It would have been great also if he had won, because I feel like that would have been a great crowning moment for him too, just thinking about it from that aspect. But overall, I enjoyed the match, and I'm glad he was able to showcase himself a little bit more than usual.
And Mark brings this up. So I want Ali to be the person he was in the package, talking about himself and everything not being this. I think they're dropping it. if it's up to Ali, the positively Ali gimmick, I think is gone. I think if Ali has a say, and I think Triple H will listen to him, that they're going to go with the gimmick that Ali had. If you haven't seen it yet, even though you know he lost, go and watch that car promo from Twitter last night, where Ali cuts this amazing, heartfelt promo inside of his car, talking about how he's never won a championship. And this is his moment. And this is his opportunity. And if he doesn't win this championship, he doesn't know if he should come back or what should happen. And I like this internal journey for Ali here. And I'm saying it now. I want Ali to be the one to dethrone Gunther when it comes time. I don't want to see this match for a little while. I want to see Ali earn something. I want to see, in the next 4 or 5 months, Ali beat a bunch of people on Raw. Maybe he gets a win over Drew McIntyre. And then he goes, I want another shot at you. And maybe that's when he beats the members of Imperium. He has to go through Giovanna Vinci. He has to go through Fabian Eichner. Marcel Bartel. I don't know what his name is anymore. I forget which one it is. It doesn't matter.
Ludwig Kaiser.
That's the one. Ludwig Kaiser. Yeah, he has to go through that one to get to Gunther. And then after Gunther breaks the Honky Tonk Man's reign, just before the Rumble, Survivor Series maybe, Gunther drops the title to Ali. And then Gunther can go into the Rumble and win the Rumble. And then Gunther can go on to challenge the World Heavyweight Champion, in my mind, Cody, at that point. And you have Cody versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. But I think there's still money to be made in Ali. I think there's still room to go with him. And this performance, unlike past performances in Saudi Arabia for small guys against big guys, he didn't get buried.
Right. And that's why I said that this didn't hurt Ali at all. Like it definitely didn't hurt him. I'm just tired of the typical for Ali.
Yep. And by the way, I don't think Ali ends up in Saudi much. I don't think he likes to go to these shows. I know he donates them to charity. I know he donates his checks that he does from these shows. I think we're actually confusing him with Mansoor, who goes to all the Saudi shows, who did not make the trip this year.
Right.
But I know Mansoor is a Saudi-born and enjoys his time in Saudi and typically gets those big matches in Saudi.
Yeah.
Marcus coming in saying, by WrestleMania 40, Gunther will be the World Heavyweight Champion. I think after WrestleMania, he might be the World Heavyweight Champion. I don't think he's going to win it beforehand. Before we get to speaking about the World Heavyweight Championship, we've got Becky Lynch taking on 2006 Trish Stratus.
Can I say something about that match, Ed?
No, you can't, Parrish. We're moving on. No, sorry. Go ahead, Parrish.
No, I was one of the things I thought of, it was, I'm with Karl of, I'm tired of the same thing with Ali, but I couldn't help but notice that Veer, Sheer, and Jinder were drafted to Monday Night Raw. I can't help but think about the rumors that Dragunov could be a fourth member to Imperium. What if VC Imperium go up against a stable of Jinder, Veer, Ali, and these guys, and we're seeing this as a potential faction war on Monday Night Raw?
That was a Judgment Day with JD McDonough.
And then you have the way with all those guys.
I was gonna say you have a War Games match right there with 4 groups of 4, with Share, with the Way, with Judgment Day.
I think Ali as kind of a singles threat in a faction would give him so much more. I mean, we just talked about, you just mentioned Judgment Day. Look at what Damian Priest has become now. Look at, what other people have been when they're in a faction at times and whatnot. I think this would be perfect for Ali to be a part of a faction and not be the leader.
Yeah, there's a lot of great potential for Ali. Share might actually be a really good spot for him.
And imagine that group coming back to Saudi Arabia.
Maybe. I mean, they're in. You get into those little nibbling spots where they're Indian. We don't know if they're going to get a big cheer there. I agree. I'm with you. I agree. Like Mark says, I agree. Ali would be better in a faction. Yeah, I have nothing wrong with that. With Veer, with Sangha, with Jinder in that India share faction, that could be good. Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch. Kill Bill inspired attire for Becky Lynch. Trish Stratus, as pointed out by our own Astrid Pizarro to me, but also by almost everybody else on Twitter, reviving her, I believe it was 2006 attire.
Yeah, it's from the Lita Raw main event.
Yeah. I didn't like this. I didn't like anything about this other than the finish.
You not liking anything Becky's doing? What a shock!
I didn't like the stuff Trish did in this match. It didn't hit whatsoever. I found myself zoning out. I couldn't keep my eyes on the match. I was playing Marvel Snap. It did nothing. It did nothing for me, in any way, shape, or form. I get it. My Becky Lynch hate is more satirical than it is legitimate. Like, I mean,
you don't say.
I mean the things I say where I'm not a huge Becky Lynch fan, but I can appreciate the work that Becky Lynch does. Nothing about this was interesting to me. And it went on forever. 14 minutes and 50 seconds. 14 minutes, 50 seconds, and I think it was about 13 minutes, 50 seconds too long. I get it. I get that I'm in the minority here, and I'm going to let everybody else talk about the wonderful things about this match. When did the man of the masses suddenly revert to big-time Becks? They're kind of the both things all at once.
I mean, you can have multiple monikers.
No, I don't love Lash Legend. Bad Bobby. Bad buttons, Bobby. Stop touching buttons, Bobby. Karl, why don't we... no, we'll go to Parrish first, because we went to him last because I forgot about him in the last match.
Let's clip that. Let's clip that one. See, I disagree. I thought this was the best female match of the night. In fact, I actually thought it was the third best match of the night. I actually really like this. I thought Trish definitely showed her rust in this match. But, I mean, they said it's been a while since she's had a one-on-one match. But I thought, unlike Asuka and Bianca, these two, I thought, gelled very well with each other. They seemed to take their time with some things, and they didn't rush much in this match. And I like that. And I thought this was a great match to start a feud, not to end one.
Karl.
Sit tight, Ed. Here we go. For me, this was my second best matchup of the night. From my notes, Becky with the first strike with that punch, kind of going back to, Monday Night Raw, going back to, her showing up and getting that strike in there was very nice for her to do. Trish, yes, they continued to stress that it's been more than 4 years since her last matchup, like her last singles matchup within the WWE. Fantastic. And I'm glad that they continue to stress that so that we kind of had that little bit of we get it. We understand where there's that little bit of rust. Totally understandable. Trish using the 5 count to her advantage. She really showed that she was the veteran in this matchup, going back to the days of using the 5 count, rolling towards the ropes, going outside of the ropes, going outside of the ring. All of that different stuff really resonated with me, going, this is a seasoned professional who knows what she's doing and knows her ring awareness with this. My shout out for the night, though, I got to give to not Zoe Stark, but Corey Graves, believe it or not, simply for his comment of, I pay $11 a month for a blue check mark. That makes me a journalist. Fan-freaking-tastic. I loved that. And that was like, I caught that and I was like, immediately wrote it down. But very veteran stuff from Trish coming out of this matchup that really worked to help make both of them look amazing. And then to have Zoe Stark at the end of this matchup kind of adds this extra little bit in there. And just as Mark says, like, they're happy that they're putting a call up for more spotlight on Zoe Stark, because yes, she is going to be a star. And if we can see Zoe Stark learn from the mind of Trish Stratus, would be absolutely fantastic.
Astrid.
As
Your
Ed
turn.
was tuning out and playing Marvel Legends on his phone while I'm talking again.
No. I'm sending a tweet. I'm sending a message on Twitter.
No, Ed, I don't want your invitation to play Marvel Snap.
Okay.
Contrary to my tag team partner here, I really enjoyed this match. I could barely take notes on it because I was so concentrated between this. I feel like it was a lot better than what I saw from both of them at WrestleMania. I like that they had a good back and forth. The only thing that really got me is like when Trish was going into the ring, I thought she was gonna use or take out kind of a weapon and kind of distract Becky in that way of like Becky trying to put it back under the ring. I was not expecting Zoe Stark to be there, but like Mark mentioned in the comments just now too, I just keep thinking that's great because I kept thinking it's great. Zoe already has a lot of experience, but it doesn't hurt to learn more, especially from somebody like Trish who's been there for a while. And the detail with her gear being that gear from like the main event from Raw with Lita, and even putting the thank you Trish in the back of it too. I love that. I love her like having that character even within the gear itself. But yeah, I loved the back and forth they had here. It was nice to add Zoe here because it adds another layer to the story. And then it just makes me think of like who's going to team up with Becky to go against her, to go against both of them, because that will be interesting to see because Becky's always been that kind of person. It's like, hey, I don't have friends. So we'll see who she'll find as a partner going forward as well. But yeah, overall, I enjoy the story. I understand it was, like Karl was saying, a little bit of parts of like, Trish had a little bit of ring rust, but I feel even with that, she did better than she did at Mania. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would, because I kept thinking, oh no, she's going to be just like Mania. So I was expecting it not to be great on that end, but it was better than I thought it was going to be.
Hey, look, I can understand that I could be wrong and I could be seeing things entirely differently. And guess what? I probably am. It happens. But that's the
good to have that difference, though.
That's the joy of wrestling. We can sit here and we can have different opinions about something and be like, oh, cool, we agree to disagree. She learned how to hide under the ring for long periods. Important skill. It's a very important skill, Barry. Thank you for joining us. And that's why I wish I could be half as good as Astrid is. That's why Astrid gets all these wonderful opportunities, and I'm just along for the ride. But no, it's fantastic. I love the fact that Zoe Stark is going to be in there with Trish and with Becky, because Zoe Stark gives Becky Lynch something to do while Trish isn't there, which is very important because it continues the story moving without having to have Trish there week in and week out, so she can be home, be a mom, do the yoga stuff, and then come back and do Money in the Bank run-in to ruin Becky Lynch's Money in the Bank chances. And then they can have their match at SummerSlam. And that can be the end of this feud. And hopefully Becky Lynch will go do more Hollywood stuff that I don't have to go watch.
Do we think that's going to be a qualifying match for Money in the Bank? Zoe versus Becky?
I would. If I was WWE, I would make that match for Monday, and I would put the two of them in the ring together. Because we did find out that the Money in the Bank matches start, the qualifying matches start this Monday, and they continue this Friday. So it'll be interesting as we'll start to see the Money in the Bank field build.
Which is funny because we mentioned the people on the sides of the ring, Montez Ford, Street Profits, LA Knight. They're one of those qualifying matches. Yeah. But also just to stay there, I was very curious on what Zoe Stark was going to do on the main roster. And they kind of had those like backstage segments after she'd had a match or stuff like that, but it didn't really feel like there was a purpose. It was just like more filler than anything. And I really like this as a purpose for her because it allows Trish, and I actually do believe Trish is going to be there a lot longer than people expect. But now that if she almost has a faction of her followers, just think about the irony of this. of somebody who wasn't really around for the social media time, but has a faction called her followers, and it's the people that say thank you and stuff like that. Like I think it's really, really cool to see, and I really think this is going to be a very interesting dynamic for the women's division. Not to mention, I wouldn't be shocked if we see a tag title opportunity coming to Trish and Zoe at some point.
It's very possible. And then we get to the opening match, which we all thought was going to be the main event. And it's the main event of our show. It is the crowning of the new, inaugural World Heavyweight Champion. Seth freaking Rollins defeats AJ Styles, 20 minutes, 40 seconds, and an absolute classic. Just beginning to end, just amazing work. Seth Rollins' knee, AJ trying to hit the Styles Clash and trying to hit the phenomenal forearm. Just fantastic work. It's great. It's wonderful. Let's go to Karl Karufel. Talk about this.
So I will be honest. I ranked this third on my list. This was a 3.5 out of 5 for me. The crowd obviously loving Seth. Lots of pin attempts and near falls. I think maybe a little too many happened in this matchup. And a couple of weird things going on here. Commentary really trying to make it sound, make things sound worse than they actually were. There was a pin attempt where the referee actually moved Seth's arm for there to be a pin going on there, which kind of threw me. I'm like, no, don't touch them. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to be involved in the matchup in that type of fashion. The Styles Clash from the second rope spot looked really weird to me for some reason. But the pacing and the how things kind of flowed was great for this matchup. Classic Rollins fashion, with selling the injury and working the injury and stuff like that. So I was very, very happy with that. AJ Styles hitting the pedigree, I thought was nice. It was a nice little touch that was in there. Just kind of not really a top heel move to do, but kind of still giving that little bit of a heel tone to what he was doing and being that heel within the matchup itself. Rollins winning with that stomp was fantastic. I loved the kind of NXT feel throwback with Triple H coming in and handing him that championship. And a big win for me for the night is it looks as though the World Heavyweight Championship has snaps instead of Velcro. Oh, that is so dear to my heart. But yeah, I mean, the matchup was good for what it was. It definitely was. And I mean, unfortunately, it seemed very predictable, right? We've got the OC that's over on SmackDown. Are we really going to put, the belt on a SmackDown superstar who's part of a faction and just to bring him over to Raw? That really made absolutely no sense. So it was kind of already in my mind predetermined that, just as professional wrestling is, that this was going to be the matchup and this was going to be the winner of the matchup.
I also want to thank B4 Bailey for going ahead and following us on Twitch. We greatly appreciate it. We're up to 201 now.
Rock on.
Astrid, you're a big Seth Rollins fan. How does this feel for you?
Amazing. Great way to start the pay-per-view for me. No, I love those moments of we had that moment first with Rollins and his knee, and then AJ going for the calf crusher right away and thinking, I got to use this to my advantage. As Karl was saying, going from he went for the pedigree to the Styles Clash, and then having Seth just kicking him and stomping on him the way he did for him to break it up. And even at that moment, a little bit later on in the match, when he goes to try to do the stomp and he can't work because his knee is giving out. I love those little bits and pieces throughout the match that they did. And, having Triple H in there to show him the championship and put it on him. I love that detail, especially with the picture at the end when they're pointing at him as I expected it to be. I missed, as Mark was saying, I missed the swing, though, of him swinging the championship before it went off to the next part. But I love the moment from beginning to end. And like I told my brothers, your favorite and my favorite winning, but my favorite's going to win it. he was upset that he lost. So, yeah, I'm definitely glad that Rollins finally has that crowning moment here, and it was a great for me to start this paper. It's like, now I'm motivated. Let's keep going after this. That was my thought
Yeah.
process. So.
Senor Parrish.
One of the things I loved about this match, and I kind of expected it to happen. I expected maybe a Grayson Waller to come out and prevent AJ Styles, somebody doing something to Seth. I love that they kept this match pure. I thought one of the nice things about it was, even though a lot can criticize the promo Triple H had when he introduced this championship, and how there were a lot of shots at Roman, and it kind of made it feel like a secondary title because it was we can't beat Roman, here's a new title kind of thing. I love that they kept everything clean cut, and they had two baby faces in the finals who felt they needed to earn it and felt that there was something to prove by winning that championship. And by that accord made me believe that there are people that think this championship matters. The single fact that AJ Styles had the narrative that he needed this to kind of legitimize his career almost. A world heavyweight championship was the coup de grace to what's been a storybook career for him, while Seth freaking Rollins needed this to represent the change, a la CM Punk, 2012? But it was awesome to see what this championship represented in different ways for different superstars. And because of that, this match ended up being a pure match. And because of that, it now rolls into a new generation starting Monday on Raw, where Raw finally has its own heavyweight champion. And what I love is that it's the dawning of a new era. It's the dawning of a new time. But now what we're seeing is Seth Rollins going to be the right decision for that face of change? And that is what I'm very curious about moving forward.
Yeah. And the best thing I thought about this is the match was great. It was phenomenal. I enjoyed it. It was great. You know what the thing I thought that was the greatest? They do a post-match interview with Seth Rollins later on in the night. And he utters the words that I was hoping to hear, because we all hear about, this match was the opening match because Seth Rollins had to get back for filming. It's a 14-hour flight. Trust me, if he's filming, he's not going to be where he claims he's going to be, which is live at Raw Monday night. And he says, not only am I going to be at Raw this Monday, I'm going to be at every Raw going forward. Seth Rollins is ready. Seth Rollins is going to be at Raw. He probably won't be at house shows, and he'll film probably in between. This match could have main evented. I don't think Seth Rollins is currently on a plane. I think he's on the plane with everybody else, heading home when everybody else heads home. However, it was great to see him win. It's the dawning of the age of Aquarius. No, wait, that's something else. It is something else. Maybe it's the age of Alexander. No, that's not it. The generation of Jade. Nope, that's not it either.
The age of the architect.
The age of the maybe the age of the architect. He is a visionary. But that has been paper reviews. But don't go anywhere just yet. You want to hear what all these fine people are doing, and we're going to be rating a great friend of ours that we want you to go check out as he's doing his own My GM mode. Mike the ref is going to be the person we're going to try to raid tonight. But let's go ahead and talk to Karl about all the wonderful things that you have going on this week.
This week I will be doing the Monday Night Raw watch along, as we do every Monday night. Come and join us where we just shoot the shit and talk a little bit professional wrestling and whatever else we want to talk about on Monday nights, as we just enjoy Monday Night Raw. Tuesday I have Turnbuckle Talk that goes live at 8:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on our local establishment, as well as Turnbuckle Studios. To find everything for me, the easiest way is to check out my link tree, linktr.ee/Karl Karufel.
Senor Parrish.
Yeah, you can stay on our local establishment on if you're, by the way, on here on Sundays at 12:15. That's perfect time to bust out with me and my video bro, my brunch busting bro, Bobby Money Munson, as we celebrate our 40th birthday. Well, 40th episode, but we like to say we're old or distinct, kind of. We
They're
have
both.
some
They're
tread
both
on
things.
those. We have some tread on those tires that go off the course every week, and then I'll be with Karl, among other people, for those watch alongs this Monday in its entirety. And yeah, and you can follow my beautiful Twitter and Instagram on the ticker below. Twitter, Chris Parrish, my Instagram at Chris.Parrish. You're old, baby. Bobby, you're older than me.
You can find me at edfries12584 on Twitter. You can find me every Tuesday night co-hosting, taking over with the one and only Astrid Pizarro. You can find me every now and then co-hosting, guest sparring, being the third man, brother, on the Making an Impact podcast every week on Twitch and YouTube at Astrid Pizarro on Twitch and YouTube. You can also find me later on tomorrow, after I get out of the arena, when I get into the car, joining the post show for NXT Battlegrounds, which will be Astrid Pizarro and the one and only, for one night only, Ella J guest hosting in my stead. I hope it's only one night only.
I already told you that.
Astrid, where can people find you, and where can we send the people after they're done watching Mike at 6 o'clock tonight?
6 p.m. my episode of Astrid Ask with Alyssa Marino. It's premiered on my YouTube channel. Other than that, if you go on my Twitter, Astrid Pizarro, and my Instagram, Astrid Pizarro20. And as Ed mentioned, you'll see me tomorrow night after Battleground with Ella J doing the Battleground post show. And then tomorrow as well, you'll see my NXT review on Women's Wrestling Talk on their website there too.
Bobby Money Munson, I know that you're in the comments. Tell me, when is the Double or Nothing pre-show? Come on, Bobby. You can type. Sorry, folks. Getting some clarification. Immediately following Busting Out. Okay, so tomorrow 12:15, Busting Out. Directly after that, Lauren Goodnight and Bobby Money Munson will be previewing Double or Nothing. And then after NXT, we've got Taking Over, Battlegrounds. And then after that, we've got Double or Nothing post-show. All kinds of coverage still to come for you from our local establishment this weekend, going into the holiday. Thank you very much for everybody. Let's get one more comment from Barry. He says, people say Americans have no understanding of irony, but I say look at Raw. On Monday, a 45-year-old man dressed as a cowboy telling somebody else to get a life. Excellent. Goodbye, everybody. With that, I've been Ol'Ed. That's been Astrid Pizarro, Karl Karufel, the Chris Parrish, and we will see you all next time. Goodbye.
Bobby!
Oh, did anybody hit a button? Or are we still live? We're still live.